eyes are on Congress right now as gas prices put the big oil companies in focus. All of this while oil prices are on the move, as the IEA says it will release 120 million barrels to ease price pressures. You can see a live look into the opening remarks for the oil executives down in Congress. Let's get a little bit more commentary on this from Yahoo Finance's Rick Newman, who is watching that hearing, which began about 35 minutes ago. Rick, how significant is this hearing, and what are lawmakers hoping to glean from bringing these CEOs to Capitol Hill?
I think this is a lot of theater. I mean, the oil company CEOs earning their pay today as they go before Congress to get flogged for the high price of oil and for gasoline. Some of the ideas here in Congress are to impose a windfall profits tax on oil companies. That's kind of a golden oldie that comes up every time gas prices get uncomfortably high. There will be some other talk about things that the government might be able to do. But I don't think much is going to come out of this. There is not unified support even among Democrats for some of these measures. And for what it's worth, I've done some analysis of the profitability of different sectors. It is true that big oil companies like Exxon and Chevron, they do make more money when the price of oil goes up. But when the price of oil goes down, they actually lose money, as they did in 2020, big losses in the industry. And they're not even the most profitable sector in the U.S. economy. They're not even close, actually. The numbers I looked at, I got these from S&P Capital IQ. Profit margins in the energy sector in 2021, even with rising oil and gas prices, were only 8.2%. That was the second lowest out of 11 sectors. The lowest was in consumer staples. But if you go up to financials, 25.3% profit margin in 2021, 3 times the energy industry. And even when you look at big companies like Exxon, it had an 8.3 profit margin in 2021. Apple's profit margin is usually about 25%. Again, about 3 times higher, 3 times larger than for Exxon. And nobody's talking about a windfall profits tax on Apple. So there's not as much money in big oil as some of the politicians fulminating in Congress today probably think.
And Rick, it's important to point out, one of the key issues Democratic lawmakers have raised is why, in fact, gas prices have not come down at the same rate that oil has. Interesting to see some of the opening statements from the CEOs today who've gone out of their way to say, look, there's not a direct correlation here. What did you find?
There's a long-standing history here, and this trend, this is basically what happens every single time we see a spike in oil and gasoline prices. Oil prices come down faster than gasoline prices come down, and the reason for that, Exxon and Chevron own hardly any gas stations. Their name is on the gas station, but these are mostly independently owned, and they want to keep the price up as long as they can. So the price does come down as the wholesale cost of gasoline comes down, but those independent sellers, they want to make a profit as long as they can. So they're reluctant to lower the price as long as they can keep it up. And then prices gradually come down as wholesale costs come down. And then one gas station wants to get a little bit more market share, so they're going to lower the price. And that is basically the way it has always worked. This is very frustrating for drivers. I mean, I get it, but people seem to forget that we had really low gas prices from 2016 to through the end of 2020. And many of the companies in this industry, in the energy industry, lost a ton of money, and some of them went out of business. So we had energy companies overproducing for 4 or 5 years and basically subsidizing low gasoline prices by losing money. And the oil companies don't want to do that again.
Yeah, and to your point on gas stations and ownership there, we heard Chevron's CEO in his statements at least saying, look, we own a very small fraction when there's 150,000 gas stations with the Chevron name. So something we're to continue to watch as this hearing plays out. Rick Newman, thanks so much for that.